Downsizing sounds simple, right? Smaller home, less stuff, easier life. But here's the reality. I've watched plenty of people, smart people, turn downsizing into a nightmare because they fell into the same 5 mistakes. And trust me, these mistakes can cost you money, peace of mind, and maybe even land you in the wrong house. So today, let's walk through the 5 mistakes you do not want to make and what you can do instead so you actually enjoy this next chapter. Mistake number 1, believing that you can clear out 10, 15, 20 years of stuff in a couple of weekends. Nope, that's how you end up sobbing into a box of old high school yearbooks at midnight. Decluttering is a process. Now, the sooner you start, the less painful it will feel. I've got a whole video on how to declutter, especially if you want to keep everything. I'll link it up here. And listen, I'm right there with you. I've been in my house now for almost 20 years. And this year, when I finally got serious about decluttering, found a pair of pants I've been looking for 2 years. I even found a new pair I totally forgot I'd purchased. 2 years. I was thrilled to find them, but honestly, it just proved I had way too much stuff hanging around. You know, researchers tell us about that 80-20 rule where we're using 20% of what we have 80% of the time, and I get it now. It's probably why it took me 2 years to find these pants. By the way, I'm Peggy Durstoff, a realtor with Live Denver Suburbs, powered by HomeSmart, and I help women over 50 sell their homes with confidence, especially if you're doing it solo after a big life change. And I share these stories with you because I'm right there with you. I've experienced it too. Now, mistake number 2 is ignoring the real costs of downsizing. You know, a lot of people assume smaller house, smaller bills, but that's not always the case. Yes, you might save on square footage, but you also pick up new expenses, maybe HOA fees if you're not used to them, extra costs to join amenities like golf, pickleball, and recreation centers if they're not part of the HOA, or maybe even Metro District taxes in newer neighborhoods. And here's the kicker. Those costs don't stay flat. Property taxes creep up, HOA fees rarely go down, and utilities climb. In fact, it seems like the dollar buys less every year. If you're planning for retirement, you want to run those numbers not just for today, but for 10 years from now. That way you'll know if you can live comfortably in your next chapter. Now, the good news, you've got options. I've seen women get creative. A Golden Girls style living arrangement, sharing a larger home with friends and splitting expenses, adding an ADU in the backyard and renting it out for extra income, or combining households with adult children or aging parents, which can cut costs while also building support and connection. Downsizing isn't only about buying less space. It's about designing the lifestyle that keeps you secure and comfortable as costs change. Mistake number 3 is thinking newer automatically means better. I mean, I get it. Who doesn't love walking into a brand new home with the smell of fresh paint and sparkling countertops? It feels like the grown-up version of driving a new car off the lot. But here's the catch. With new builds, you're not just buying a house, you're also buying into the fine print, things like Metro District taxes and possibly strict HOA rules. Let me tell you, nothing says welcome home like realizing your property tax bill just doubled because of a Metro District you weren't aware of. So before you fall in love with the quartz island and the shiny new appliances, flip to the back page of the story, the monthly fees. Sometimes that charming older neighborhood home with mature trees and remodeled interior may come at lower costs that ends up being a smarter move. And of course, that's where I can come in. I can pull all the HOA and Metro District breakdown before you sign on the dotted line so you don't get blindsided later. Now, mistake number 4, well, that's rushing the sale. You know, once you make a decision to move, I know it's tempting. Throw a sign in the yard and just get it over with. Believe me, I've seen that play out. And it usually ends up with the sellers either settling for the wrong buyer or worse, leaving money on the table. Here's the thing, buyers can smell a rushed listing. The photos looked hurried, the house feels half-packed, and the first offer that shows up suddenly looks a lot better than it really is. That's not a strategy, that's panic selling. What works better? Give yourself a prep runway. Take a breath, declutter, fix those things you've been ignoring like the wobbly doorknob or the squeaky hinge, and let staging do its magic. A home that's cared for and presented well tells buyers the seller is confident, and confident sellers usually get stronger offers. And if the timing's really tight, well, there's options for you. Some of my clients use short-term rentals, bridge solutions, or post-closing occupancy agreements to give themselves breathing room. That way, you're not pressured to accept the first so-called offer because you're worried about where to sleep next month. The bottom line, the markets reward preparation, not panic. A few extra weeks up front can make the difference between feeling stuck and walking away with a sale and your sanity intact. And if the staging has you worried, I did a video called Staging My House to Sell. I'll link it up there. Now, mistake number 5 is skipping the checklist. I get it. When you walk into a pretty house, it's easy to get swept away. You see the sparkling backsplash, the open floor plan, maybe even a soaking tub that looks like it belongs in a spa, and suddenly you're ready to sign before you've even opened up a closet door. But right-sizing or downsizing isn't about just finding a smaller space. It's about finding a home that fits your stage of life. Does it have a main floor bedroom so you're not training for a stair climb every night? Is it close to the grocery store, your doctor, or are the walking trails ones you actually want to use? Does the HOA allow for pets, or are you going to be sneaking them in like a teenager breaking curfew? That's what the checklist is for. It's not about square footage, it's about lifestyle, your lifestyle. The stuff that makes your daily life easier, safer, and a whole lot more enjoyable in the long run. That's why I put together a downsizing checklist you can use while touring homes. So the house you fall in love with on day one still works for you 10 years from now. And it has things on it like main floor bedroom, walkability, and nearby healthcare, pet-friendly HOA rules, amenities that fit your lifestyle, even resale potential. I know how overwhelming it can feel to juggle all of this, which is exactly why I created the simple downsizing checklist. You can download it for free. It'll help you sort through the noise and focus on what really matters in this next stage of life. So let's recap. Don't underestimate decluttering. Don't ignore the real costs. Don't assume newer always means better. Don't rush the sale. And definitely don't skip the checklist. Avoid these 5 mistakes and you'll move into a lifestyle that's lighter, smarter, and built for the long run. If you're ready to start, download my Declutter to Distress guide. And if you've already got that, grab the downsizing checklist. Both links are down below. And before you go, check out my Solar Cellar Roadmap playlist right there. It's packed with tips to make this whole process feel a lot less overwhelming. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.